My name is Nathan Rourke. I'm 32, a former inmate turned small-time contractor trying to build an honest life one shaky foundation at a time. I wasn't born into privilege like the Hightowers, my bride's family. They sip vintage wine and hide knives in their smiles, while I measure my self-worth in overtime hours and half-paid invoices. I never fit in, and maybe that was the first sign. Even when Aubrey slipped that ring on my finger, it felt more like a leash than a vow. Maybe deep down, I always knew I was being groomed for something. But I didn't realize the truth, not until her mother raised her glass at our wedding and called me a lie in front of 200 people. I should have known the air was too thin for breathing. The ceremony was perfect, on the surface. Ivory drapery fluttering under a Northern California breeze. String quartet murmuring beneath a pergola wrapped in orchids. Every corner curated, every glance rehearsed. That was the Hightower way. Picture-perfect control. I stood near the altar, hands sweating inside gloves that didn't quite fit. Aubrey walked toward me, a porcelain goddess sculpted in silk. She didn't look at me until the very last step. When she did, I noticed something. She blinked once. No smile. I told myself it was nerves. Lie number 1. They made me wear a tux I couldn't afford and stand beside people who didn't know my middle name. When you grow up counting hours to parole, you learn to read a room fast. This one reeked of secrets. After the vows, they herded us into the ballroom, glass walls, hanging orchids, and a bar that could have fed a small country. I shook hands. Smiled. Lied with my teeth. I'd never seen so many people pretending they weren't bleeding under their skin. Vivian Hightower stood. Silence dropped like a blade. She held a champagne flute like a weapon. Her posture could cut glass. Her voice, velvet over steel. I'd like to raise a glass, she said. I felt Aubrey tense. Vivian turned slowly. To new beginnings. And necessary endings. The room froze. 1 beat. 2. Her eyes sliced into me. I always believed love should elevate you, not dig you out of something. She smiled. Not at me. At the press table. And we should be careful. Not to mistake construction workers for architects. Laughter. I blinked. The floor shifted. No one else moved. Vivian's voice sharpened. That's not a good husband. She raised her glass higher. That's a con in a tux. My spine locked. Someone gasped. A fork dropped. My best man Carson took a step forward, but stopped. Cameras clicked. Aubrey didn't say a word. Her hand slipped from mine. I looked at her. She looked away. The press surged. A publicist shouted. Vivian kept smiling, like she'd just brokered $1 billion deal. I opened my mouth, but no sound came. Security moved. Toward me. Mr. Rourke, one of them said quietly. Please come with us. Aubrey didn't flinch. The ballroom became a fishbowl, every face staring, every breath held. I could hear my heart, 3 beats behind my shame. One of the security guards reached for my elbow. That's when Aubrey leaned in, close enough for me to smell her perfume, cold and floral like a morgue bouquet. You're not my husband, she whispered. You're just leverage. And the debt's already paid. They didn't cuff me. Which made it worse. 2 security men walked me out like I was drunk, or stupid, or both. Cameras still flashing. Faces melting into a blur. I saw my mother's old friend in the back, her jaw hung open. Someone whispered my name like it was a slur. Outside, fog clawed at the wine glasses. The valet avoided my eyes. No one stopped them. Not even Aubrey. They put me in a black town car. Clean leather. A bitter citrus scent from the air freshener. One of them sat beside me, arms crossed. Didn't speak. 10 minutes later, the door clicked open. Police station. Side entrance. No press. A detective waited. Female. Mid-40s. Sharp blazer. Flat effect. You're not under arrest, she said. But we do have questions. Please step this way. Room 3B smelled like stress and pine sol. One camera in the corner. No mirror. No coffee. Just a file folder already on the table. Vivian's seal on it. I didn't sit. She did. You ever go by the name Connor Devlin? The name hit like a bullet to the ribs. I said nothing. She opened the folder. Slide. Mugshot. Mine. 9 years ago. Buzzcut. Bruised cheek. Blank eyes. The photo felt like a corpse someone dug up just to prove I once existed. That's not a crime, I said. Of course not, she replied. But using a new name, a sealed record, and entering into a legal marriage without disclosure, technically, that's civil fraud. Silence. I didn't lie, I said. I changed. She steadied me. I know the Hightowers. They don't press charges unless they're sure they can bury you. So you should start talking. Now. I didn't. An hour passed. She let me go. Word of advice, she said as I reached for the door. When rich people come for you, they don't shoot. They erase. I stepped into the hallway. My phone buzzed. Carson. Get out. Now, he said. What? They just filed a suit. Civil fraud. Freezing everything under your name, Nathan Rourke. I blinked. My business account? Gone. Bank? Feds flagged it. You're radioactive. My legs moved on instinct. Out the door. Into the parking lot. Cool air slapped me awake. What the hell is this, Carson? It's Vivian. She knew everything before the wedding. She didn't want a son-in-law. She wanted a story. Why? Because your face was clean enough to stain. And they've done it before. Cut scene. Back at my apartment. Door unlocked. Hinge cracked. Files gone. Laptop missing. Drawers pulled out. Closet emptied. The photo of me and my father ripped in half. The right side missing. They weren't just discrediting me. They were erasing the record of me. I stumbled into the kitchen. Drawer. False back. Inside, a USB stick. Emergency backup. Just in case. Just in case happened. I plugged it into Carson's laptop. Everything intact. Tax forms. Old job contracts. Court documents. And one PDF I didn't recognize. Prenuptial agreement draft, Carson read aloud. Signed. I frowned. I never signed that. Then someone did it for you. He clicked. Signature, Nathan Rourke. Perfect. Even the notary seal's fake, he said. This is federal fraud. My lungs tightened. One sentence blinked at the bottom. Subject unaware of legal implications at time of signing. What the hell does that mean? He didn't answer. Instead, he opened the next file. Video file. Footage. High-res. Color corrected. Me. Standing behind Aubrey. At the altar. Freeze frame. Carson pointed. Look at your hand. My fingers gripped her waist. Looks normal, I said. Zoom in. He did. My other hand. Slipping something into my inner pocket. A flash of gold. Her grandmother's locket. I never touched that. Doesn't matter. The frame said otherwise. Deep faked? He nodded. Or staged. They'll use it in court to show you stole heirlooms. That's how they flip juries. My mouth went dry. They're making me a con again. Carson leaned back. No. They're making you disposable. Wind outside howled. His voice lowered. Nate. They're not trying to destroy your reputation. They're trying to justify what comes next. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Text only. If you want the truth, meet me where it started. 11 p.m. tonight. Alone. I stared at it. Where it started. Carson looked up. Your old parole office? No, I said slowly. Not that. I closed my eyes. Where it started was the warehouse. The first job Vivian offered me. The one that didn't feel like a job. No records. No paper. Just trust. I felt my jaw clench. I knew where I had to go. I didn't know what I'd find. But I knew what was waiting if I stayed. I didn't escape prison. I walked into a prettier one. 11:03 p.m. Warehouse District. East Oakland. I parked 2 blocks down. Cut the engine. Lights off. Air tasted like rust and wet metal. Every window on the street was black. No sound but the ticking of my dashboard and the distant thump of a train. The warehouse looked abandoned, but the side door had a fresh keypad lock. That wasn't there a year ago. I slipped in through the loading bay, flashlight off. My boots barely made a sound. A memory hit, Vivian's voice echoing through this space when she first offered me the job. We believe in second chances, Mr. Rourke. But only for men who stay useful. Back then, I thought it was mercy. Now, I know better. The interior was empty, except for one glowing light near the center. A desk lamp. A metal table. And a laptop. Not mine. The screen blinked, "Play me." I hesitated. A voice in my head whispered, "Dead men don't marry." I pressed play. A video began, security footage from a private hospital. Timestamped 9 months ago. A room. A bed. Monitors beeping. A woman lay unconscious. Hooked to IVs. Head bandaged. My breath caught. It was Aubrey. Or someone who looked exactly like her. Next frame, a team of surgeons. A clipboard. Printed, facial reconstruction authorization, level 3 clearance, VH Corp. I paused. Rewound. Froze frame. There was a second name. Under subject identity transfer. Marion Sykes. I staggered back. They didn't just fake documents. They rebuilt people. My bride wasn't who she claimed to be. And maybe neither was I. Click. Sound behind me. I turned fast, metal groaned. A figure moved in the shadow. Male. Tall. Then another. I dropped low, heart slamming. You were never supposed to see that, a voice called. I recognized it. Aubrey. She stepped from the dark. No heels. Just boots. Black coat. Eyes locked on mine. I told you to come alone, she said. I did. You brought everything else with you, your anger, your ego, your past. You're not Aubrey, I said. She tilted her head. Not anymore. Silence. The other man stepped forward. Bald. Scar under one eye. He held a gun. Where's my father? I asked. No answer. The bald man opened his coat, revealed a burner phone. Tapped the screen. A live stream popped up. My father. Bound to a chair. Blindfolded. Breathing hard. Basement walls behind him. I moved. The gun snapped up. Not yet, he said. Aubrey didn't flinch. Vivian doesn't care if you die, Nathan. She only needs the confession. Everything else is theater. What's your role? She blinked. A twitch of something, guilt, maybe. I was trained to make you fall in love. I stepped closer. Why me? Her voice was a whisper now. Because ghosts don't leave evidence. Cut scene. The room went dark. Power cut. My instinct kicked in. I dove behind the table as a shot cracked through the air. Sparks exploded from the desk lamp. Another shot. I rolled right, grabbed the laptop. Shoved it into my backpack. Footsteps. The bald man shouted, "Take him alive." Flashlight beams danced. I spotted a broken stairwell, steel steps bent inward. Took it without thinking. 3 flights up. Breath ragged. Blood pounding. Roof access. Locked. I kicked hard, twice. Third time, the latch snapped. Cold air hit me. The roof sloped. Rain started. Wind howled off the bay. I looked down, 3 stories to a dumpster below. Then I heard it. The hum of a car. Below, headlights flared. A black SUV tore through the chain-link gate. Tires screeched. Driver's door flew open. Red heels hit the pavement. Aubrey stepped into the floodlights, face unreadable. She wasn't done with me yet. Rain slicked the rooftop like glass. I crouched low, hard hammering, as Aubrey, Marion, whatever her real name was, stepped out of the SUV. Her red heels clicked against the pavement like a metronome counting down the moment I'd stop breathing. She didn't raise a weapon. Didn't shout. She just looked up at me. And smiled. "You're not supposed to run, Nathan," she called. "You're supposed to play your part." The gunman from the warehouse reached the roof, breath ragged. I spun, slammed the rusted door into his shoulder, and bolted the latch behind me. "Running never fixes anything," a voice echoed in my head. "But sometimes it buys you enough time to find the truth." I sprinted along the ledge, wind slashing at my coat. Below, headlights swirled like predators circling prey. Cut scene. Back on the fire escape. One step slipped under my boot, steel cracked. I barely caught the railing before I went over. Rain blurred my vision. My grip faltered. One missed step and I'd be a chalk outline. I jumped. Landed on the second floor overhang. Rolled. Something popped in my shoulder. Didn't matter. Pain meant I was still alive. Cut scene. I hit the alley hard and kept moving. No headlights now. No SUV. They wanted me to vanish. They weren't chasing me. They were hurting me. I got to Carson's place in under 30 minutes. His loft was dark, curtains drawn. He opened the door, gun in hand. "You look like hell," he said. "I found the files," I rasped. "She's not Aubrey. Her real name's Marion Sykes." He didn't blink. "I know." I froze. "You knew?" Carson's face twisted. "I didn't know it was her. But I knew someone was planted. Vivian had too much control. Too much reach." I started digging. He turned to his desk. Unlocked a drawer. Pulled out a thumb drive. "What's that?" "Their insurance policy." He plugged it in. The screen flickered. Hundreds of documents. Medical. Financial. Immigration. Birth certificates. Death records. Non-disclosure agreements. Fake ones. Real ones. Signed in names I didn't recognize. "You're not the first," Carson said. "There were others. Men who married into the family. Men with sealed records or clean paper trails. Where are they now?" He didn't answer. He clicked open a folder labeled Protocol, Sunset. Inside, 20 pages. Step-by-step breakdown of what to do when a marriage goes off script. Blackmail. Frozen assets. Public humiliation. The final step, disposal. I stared. This isn't just corruption, I whispered. This is engineered. Carson nodded. They manufacture grooms. Leverage them. Then wipe them clean. But why? He hesitated. Then pulled up a different file. A list of offshore accounts. All in the names of the ex-husbands. One stood out. Connor Devlin. My old alias. I clicked. Bank statements. Movements. Recent withdrawals. $400,000 drained after my wedding. I never touched that, I said. No, but they made it look like you did. My pulse stuttered. So I'm about to be accused of fraud, grand theft, and identity manipulation? Carson nodded. And worse, publicly. Outside, tires screeched. I jumped to the window. Black sedan. Unmarked. Too fast for press, Carson muttered. Too clean for cops. They're here for the drive, I said. We make a copy, he said, moving fast. No time. I grabbed the drive. Then we go underground, Carson said. I know someone at AMC Investigations. Nolan Lang. Ex-FBI. Works off book. I nodded. What's the catch? He hates rich people more than he likes the law. We moved. Fast. Out the back. Down the fire escape. Into my truck. As I turned the key, Carson's voice dropped low. Why marry into hell? I didn't answer. I thought of my father. I thought of the way Aubrey looked at me during our vows, not like a bride, but like a sniper checking her scope. Because sometimes, I said, the only way to bring down a monster is to walk into its mouth. The engine roared. And in the rearview mirror, I saw the black sedan start to follow. The tires howled behind us. Carson white-knuckled the dash. Faster, Nate. I'm not driving slow for the scenery. The sedan loomed in the rearview, no plates. Windows tinted deep as secrets. They didn't want a confrontation. They wanted a clean extraction. They won't shoot while we're moving, Carson said. But they'll tag us for a hit and sweep the second we stop. Downtown flickered into view. Glass towers. Too many lights. Too many eyes. A city like this eats the truth alive unless you punch it down its throat. Where's this Nolan guy? 2 blocks past the Civic Center, Carson said. Look for the vape shop with the closed for good sign. He's underneath. Cut scene. We skidded down 17th Street. Neon bled across the windshield. I slammed the brakes just before the vape shop. The sedan veered left, pretending to pass, then coasted around the next corner. They weren't done. They were just repositioning. Inside. Now. We sprinted through the broken glass door, past empty counters, into a stairwell stinking of bleach and copper. 3 buzzes on the steel door. It opened without a word. Nolan Lang was 6'4", wiry, with a broken nose and eyes like he forgot how to blink. Ex-FBI. Fired 4th pattern obsession. Which really meant he got too close. You brought the file, he asked. Carson nodded. And a hell of a tale. I know, Nolan said. They tried my place first. He locked the door. Double latch. Thumbprint seal. The room looked like a bunker married a crime lab. Whiteboards. Photo strings. Old phones. 2 coffee makers. I've been tracking Vivian's web for a year, Nolan said, not looking at us. She's part of an experimental domestic acquisition ring. Human trafficking? I asked. No. Worse. Legal manipulation. They find men with sealed criminal records, then marry them into shell corporations under new identities. Why sealed records? Because if you ever speak, they unseal you. Your past ruins you before the truth ever gets out. And the women? Carson asked. Nolan clicked a file open. Aubrey. No, Marion. She was recruited after the Mexico operation, Nolan said. Facial reconstruction, full psych profile rewrite. Her real life burned down in exchange for a clean slate and a big paycheck. Why would anyone agree to that? Because sometimes, Nolan said, you'd rather be a ghost than a grave. Cut scene. We uploaded the drive to a secure offline server. I'll file a report through backdoor DOJ lines, Nolan said. But if you want this to stick, you need public eyes. Court-level exposure. I'm not exactly judge-friendly. That's why we go smaller, Carson said. The fundraiser tomorrow. AMC's hosting. Vivian will be there. She'll have security. She'll also be giving a speech. Live streamed. We all paused. Then Nolan said, you hijacked the feed. Drop the documents during her monologue. You want me to leak national-level evidence in a room full of billionaires? Better than leaking blood. I stared at the screen. My name. My father's name. My fake alias. All threaded into their financial schemes. If I do this, I burn every bridge I've ever built. Then light the match, Carson said. And let her empire watch it burn. Cut scene. We planned for hours. Routes. Triggers. Backup storage. Nolan handed me a pen that was really a flash drive. If anything went wrong, I'd dump it into the valet bin. Nolan's guy would retrieve it. I didn't ask how he had a guy in valet. Truth is, in this war, everyone had a guy. At 4:47 a.m., I stood alone outside Nolan's place. Sky pinking. Hands shaking. The thing about the truth, I whispered to myself, is that it doesn't save you. It just makes sure you die clean. My burner buzzed. No caller ID. I picked up. Nathan. Vivian's voice. Calm. Cold. You don't have to do this. We can fix it. We've always fixed things for you. I didn't answer. Do you really want your father's last months to end in court hearings and media stunts? He's a proud man. Let him keep his dignity. I didn't speak. But in my head, I saw him, tied to that chair. Blindfolded. Used like bait. I won't ask again, she said. You didn't have to, I replied. I dropped the phone. And walked straight into war. The ballroom smelled like old money and fresh lies. Men in black suits whispered behind champagne flutes. Women in silk moved like sharks in water. AMC's fundraiser was a cathedral of polished corruption, gilded, hollow, and soundproofed by power. I stepped through the revolving doors. The pen drive burned in my pocket like a lit fuse. Carson was already in. Nolan, too, disguised as catering. Our signals were tight. One flick of my cufflink in the feed would switch from Vivian's keynote to her entire operation laid bare, emails, contracts, wire transfers, identities. Vivian's face was everywhere. Projected on 3 giant screens behind the stage. She stood and read, the color of victory or violence, depending on who survived the night. I moved through the crowd. My palms slick. My heartbeat an erratic drum. Dad's name echoed in my skull. He deserved better than to be buried in silence. Vivian took the stage. Applause. Lights. The room dimmed into a single, sharp spotlight. Her voice was syrup, slow, sweet, dangerous. We gather tonight for a future defined by integrity, courage, and family. I flicked my cuff. The screens glitched. Then, Aubrey's old ID photo. Nolan's audio file. Bank account logs. People froze. Whispers turned to shouts. Security moved. Vivian's face changed, cracked porcelain. No, cut the feed, she snapped. But it was already streaming. Live. Across AMC's site, social media, Nolan's channels. A data dump detonated in real time. She screamed. I ran. Cut scene. Back hallway. Carson opened the fire exit. We sprinted into the alley, shadows grabbing at our heels. Tires screeched behind us. Gunshot. The wall beside my head splintered. We ducked into a service stairwell. Up 3 flights. Locked door. I kicked it open. And found her. Vivian. Alone. Holding a small pistol like it was an extension of her soul. It didn't have to end this way, she said. You're right, I said. It should have ended before my father became leverage. You think the truth wins? She asked, voice shaking. The truth doesn't survive in rooms like that. Only control does. That's what this was always about. You think you're free now? You've exposed a program with roots deeper than the DOJ. Do you have any idea what you've just invited? I stepped closer. You know what I've learned? I said. The only thing more dangerous than lies are the people who believe them. She raised the gun. A single shot fired. But it wasn't hers. Nolan. Behind her. She dropped. Alive. Just unconscious. Cut scene. Sirens wailed. Police stormed in seconds later. AMC board members were already being cuffed in the ballroom. The servers weren't just servers, DOJ agents embedded from Nolan's leak. Carson nodded toward me. It's over. No, I said, looking down at Vivian. It's just started. Cut scene. 6 weeks later. I stood at my father's grave. No cameras. No scandal. Just quiet. Legacy isn't something you inherit, I whispered. It's what you protect when no one's watching. Carson joined me. You did it, Nate. Her whole network's crumbling. Witnesses came forward. Aubrey's real name is public. She's in custody. I didn't do it for victory. Why then? For silence. He frowned. So the next kid like me doesn't have to fight to prove he's real. Cut scene. I walked home through a different city. Same skyline. But the shadows felt less sharp. The air, a little more honest. They tried to make me disappear. Instead, I became the noise they couldn't silence. Sometimes justice isn't loud. Sometimes it's a whisper that never stops echoing. And sometimes, it sounds a lot like your own name finally meaning something true.